Hello, I'm Yvette Stoffert, the owner of Motley Muse, and I am super happy and excited that we're painting together today. I just love painting. I know, right? Isn't it cute? I just totally love this painting. I am super happy with it and how it turned out. I'm going to show you step by step all the little things that I did, and feel free to go ahead and change the colors if you want. If you want to move the bee to a different area, try different flowers. I want this painting to be uniquely yours. Now I'm going to show you and talk through all the steps and how I did it, like how I painted the wicker basket and how I did the background. And yeah, I hope you have a lot of fun because I know I sure did painting this. And if you love your painting at the end, please share it with me. I mean, even if maybe it's and you had some questions or it just wasn't working, please email me, message me. I'm all over social media. And talk to me, communicate to me. I really would love to see your finished painting. And I hope you have as much fun as I did painting this. This is going to be a fun painting. I'm going to start with my canvas. This canvas is a 16 by 20 inch canvas on a wood frame. I am starting off with these brushes, my big square brush, my medium-sized square brush, a medium-sized round brush, and a tiny little round brush. Now, if you don't have these brushes, don't worry. Use what you have. This is a very easy painting for beginners. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add some black onto my palette. I am using a paper plate to make it easier for me, so that way later it's easier to clean it up. I can just throw it away. I'm also going to put some white on the canvas. Ooh, excuse me. Funny sounds. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. Now with my big square, you can use a round brush if you want. I would recommend using a big one because this canvas is pretty big. It's a canvas stretched over a wood frame with staples, all primed and ready to go from the store. And I will start. I'm going to go ahead and make my lines vertical. If you feel better about going horizontal, go horizontal. It's all up to you and what you want to do. I'm going to put some white on my canvas. Tons of white. I'm just going to cake it on there and move it around. Then we're going to work rather quickly so it doesn't dry. Then I'm going to go ahead with a little bit of black, and I'm going to go where there's no white paint and put some lines in. Just some random little lines. Just a couple, not a lot. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to blend and work it in with the white. Notice how it starts becoming a gray. That is what I want. I want to start getting gray tones. Now I'm going to make sure that I keep my paintbrush going straight up and down in vertical stripes to keep some continuity. Take as long a time as you want doing this. Make sure that the lines are to how you want them to look. If your painting doesn't look exactly like mine, that is great. That's awesome. That means you have your own eye, your own way of seeing the world, your own uniqueness. So just go ahead and paint until you are happy and you are done. Now remember, like I always said, don't stress out. Let it be what it is. Don't be freaking out on the painting that it's bad and it's horrible, because the painting is the painting and it is what it is. So just let her be, and eventually it's going to happen. You might not get it in the first try or the second, but eventually if you keep painting and painting, eventually it's just going to all happen. And when it does, it's going to be beautiful. So let the magic happen as it happens. Don't force it. If you had a bad day at work today or just things weren't going your way, take it on the canvas right now. Just be careful that you don't poke holes, but get all your frustrations, your energy, your anger, everything that bugged you today that was, get it out on the canvas and leave it there. I'm going to need to add a little bit more white. I'm going to try to make sure that I cover the entirety of my canvas with paint. And I want to make sure that I have a variety of different colors and lines and uniqueness. I'm going to go ahead and flip my canvas so I can see it from the other side. Sometimes flipping your canvas and getting a new perspective on what you're painting can be a really awesome thing. You'll see things that you might have missed. Okay, so now that I have the paint pretty much all over the canvas, I'm going to go ahead and roughen it up a little and I'm going to keep with the vertical lines, but I'm still going to give a lot of interesting little lines and textures and just really make the whole thing a little interesting by being a little rough. I'm not even trying to think here, I'm just letting it go. Whatever it turns out to look like, that's great. It's going to be awesome. liking it. I think this is pretty cool. I like what I got. Yeah, I like it. I'm going to leave it at this. So I'm going to take my brush and wash it. And I'm going to need to have my background dry just for a little bit. After it's drying, then I can go back over it. But I would really like it to dry all the way completely. So I'm going to go ahead to try to speed up the process and use a hair dryer. dry, I think I have it completely all the way. The reason why I like to dry my painting all the way with the first layer is so that way if I have any boo-boos and I have to erase, it's a lot easier to wipe up on a dry paint versus a wet paint. Okay, so as I was turning it, I was looking at different ways on what angles and what do I like and what do I not like, and I decided I'm going to leave it in this direction. I really like how it's setting up with the background. Okay, so to make things easier on myself, I am going to use a pencil and an eraser so that way I can have a basic idea of where I'm putting my paint. Now I'm not going to do this to be like a huge beautiful drawing. That's not what I'm doing here. I'm trying to just make a basic idea of where everything's going. Okay, let's see. So we can either have the bicycle go this way or we can have it go that way. I'm thinking that I'm gonna have my bicycle go left to right, so that way it's more harder to see. When we read English, we read right to left, and so by making the I go left to right, it's going to be more interesting, more appealing to look at. So, okay, so now I've got basic idea. We're going to start with the tire. I'm going to leave this to the side. Okay, so a round tire. Going to make her rather big. Round. Yep, that works for me. So I did a circle. Then I'm going to do a line up to the handlebars. I'm going to, should have made the handlebars a little higher. I'm just kind of figuring this out and just trying to make it up as I go along. Okay, so how are we going to do this? We're going to go up, and then out a little bit, and then there's the handlebars. You know what? The handlebars should be a little higher. That's the handlebar right there, okay? And then we're going to do the basket. Of course, we want to have a basket. Why not? It'll look really nice on our bike. Okay, I kind of lost this line here, so I'm going to try to make it a little bigger so I can see it. Okay, so we did the wheel, we did the bar up to the handlebars, so now we could kind of assume that right here is where our basket's going to be. So I'm going to make like kind of a box. Went a little far on that one. Okay, so I have a box, a square, a diagonal line, and the handlebars. That's a basic idea. Then we're going to come down. So where should we come down? Let's start from here. And we'll make this a chick bike. Total chick bike. And it's going to come. You know what? I was thinking the other tire would be like meow, right? So I need to move these up higher, because then if there's going to be another tire here that we don't see, we kind of have to think about that while we're making this. Okay, there's one. And there we go. There's another one. I like it. Circle, square, diagonal line, handlebars, one line, two lines. Kind of don't like the angle there. Be careful that when you draw on your canvas, you don't push too hard and that you don't make like holes and stuff in your canvas. Never put a lot of weight. If it'll help you, you can stick under here, because see how this is like 3D? Is like there's like about an inch right here, so you can put a book, and you put a book underneath like where my hand is, and then you'd put this, and then because there would be a book there, then there would be weight that you could push down. Okay. So let's get her lined up for the camera. Good. Okay. So now I got my basic outline idea of what I'm doing. Now I'm going to go, let's see, what color do we want to make this bike? I was thinking about making it turquoise color. Everybody likes turquoise. I like turquoise. Turquoise is a good color. Okay. So I'm going to add a little bit on to my palette. Don't need a whole lot, just a little. Notice how I'm adding paint to the outside of the palette. I'm leaving this part open. The reason why is because if I wanted to make this turquoise a little lighter, I can pull the color and have space up here to mix on my palette. Okay, so let's see now. I'm gonna take my, let's see if you can see, my little, well, it's a medium round brush. The bigger your painting is, the bigger brush I recommend you using. If you were doing like a 6x6 tiny little canvas, I'd recommend just using smaller brushes and doing the same exact technique. You can do this with a square brush. I don't know. I feel like a round brush today, so that's the brush I'm going to use. And then dip it into my paint. Now notice I have not, over here, I have not added a whole lot of paint. Just at the very tip. And when I press the paintbrush down, I'm not going to press all the way and bend the bristles, and no, because that's going to make a really big line. So I'm going to put little tiny little marks. Okay, so I'm going to go down here, kind of revisit my line a little bit, and right now I'm just going to outline the basic idea of what I have made. Now these are going to be silver, so I'm going to let that go. But I'm not trying for perfection here. I'm mostly trying for anatomy and making sure that everything is good. You know what, before I do these two lines, I'm going to go ahead and do the wheel. This top thing on the wheel is going to have like a guard, a water guard. So basic idea right there so we can see where it's at. Yeah, that works. Okay, a little circle here. We're going to have a little circle. Let's see, where else do we want to add? We want to do these two lines. See, if I have a wheel here and I have a wheel here, I'm going to think about where my wheels go. And we're going to do, there it goes. Didn't even follow the line I drew. Ah! Okay, that's cool. I'm going to go back with my eraser, and those lines I drew, I didn't like them. So it's okay. Happy little mistakes. Just going to erase them. Now, did you notice how long I spent drying the painting and how it was annoying and it took forever to dry it? That was the whole purpose. So now I can erase and draw and move around and wipe up my boo-boos if I have boo-boos of wet paint. And the bottom's dry. So, no problem. Now, when I did draw this, I don't know if you noticed, my hand was very loose, so I wasn't like digging in here or anything. Get all those little flyaways off my painting. Okay, that's good, like it works. And then go back on with some more, I guess you could call it teal, aqua, green, yellow, white. Okay. So what are we going to do here? We got that. They work. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and make this a little bit wider and thicker here, and it's going to be skinnier down there. So I'm going to make my line really pretty. And then as I go up, I'm going to make this line just a little thicker. You know what? I just realized, okay, never mind. I thought I had plugged in my microphone. Turns out I didn't. This whole time I thought I might have had the microphone shut off. Whoops. See, I get so much into the art that it's kind of, this is what I do, it's what I think about. This is my time of the day to not have to deal with anybody's problems or dramas or, I need this. I need this done. Get it done. This is my time to just paint, have a good time. Sometimes takes me a couple days to finish a painting. Sometimes it takes an hour. It's all up to what I feel like and in the moment. So if it takes you a long time to paint, don't worry about it. Now, I mean, I would say worry about it if you were like trying to be a professional artist and like time is money and stuff if you're trying to sell your work, but I'm just having a good time. I think I might put this one in the living room. So I'm not trying to sell this painting, so I'm just gonna have a good time with it. It's like turning into a lowrider. A lowrider bike. Chicks can have lowrider bikes. I mean, I never had one, but I guess, you know, it could be done. Could you imagine a gangster chick with her turquoise bike? That would be totally me. With my little basket of flowers. And this is also my world that I'm creating here. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, honestly, I'm trying to go for anatomical, but I'm not making an encyclopedia of measurements here. I'm just doing my thing. Whatever it turns out like, that's what it turns out like. There's no need to stress. Oftentimes I find that people stress over the price of materials and stuff, but I buy in like super bulk, so like I buy like 1,000 canvases at a time, and when I do that, prices they get pretty low. So I don't need to have to worry about, oh my goodness, it was that much at the store. I don't go to the traditional art stores. I go to the wholesaler. I go to the factory to buy. So because of that, it makes my stuff a lot cheaper. Therefore, I don't really stress. I'm like, okay, whatever. And like you just have to like let it go, because if you let it go, then like you're free to create. But if you're in your head freaking out the whole time, like, it's gonna be hideous. Well, yeah, it will be hideous because you're telling yourself it's gonna be hideous. So just don't do that. Don't like get in your head. Just let it be, let it flow, let it happen. Let the life be what it is. It is what it is. These are the last words my grandma told me right before she passed away. I was stressing out and having a hard time, and she looked at me and she goes, I had a good one. It is what it is. I'm ready to go home and see my Lord. And that's what she did. She went home. And she died with a smile on her face. So it is what it is. Let the painting happen. Let it be. I'm going to start with the wheel here. I'm going to make sure that I don't press too hard with my brush so I can get a nice skinny line, so I can measure things out before I try to really work it here. I think it's cool to let the wheel run off the canvas a little. It's a little bit more visually stimulating and appealing to see that. Gonna give a little bit of space between the wheel and the water guard. It's always easy to make things fatter, and it's harder to make things skinnier. So what I'm meaning is, if I start out skinny with the lines and little, I can always work them to get them big and to get them where I want it. But if I already make this a really big chunky area, when I go to, I'm going to make spokes. So when I go to, sorry, I'm like concentrating here. Try to make your spokes skinny. So like, I can always go in like the background. I want the background to be what the background is. And if I have to go fix it later, it's going to be really hard to achieve the look that I already have going on with the continuity of the way that the lines are going. then it's a whole to do and everything to get that look again. So I'm trying to save time, effort, and energy here. Okay, well, I got that one. We can off-center is always better. When you can off-center things, it's more visually stimulating. Notice how I'm going one side and then the other side. That's kind of on purpose. So that way, you can, if you feel more comfortable using a skinny, tiny little brush, go ahead and do that, which is probably what I should have done. But what I'm doing is just holding the paintbrush super light, barely touching it. Like the least amount of touching as possible to the canvas. I know that chalk works well. I just don't really use chalk when I am drawing on a canvas. Because when I was in art school, I was kind of told not to when it came to acrylics. And so I just, throughout my experience of painting, that's just something I don't do. I feel that if you don't have your paints all the way, like if they're still kind of tacky and wet and you put chalk on there, you like discolored your painting a little bit. So while chalk is a good idea, it's not an end-all be-all. I've noticed that if I use the pencil, the lead, it erases much easier. And I don't have to add water or anything to wipe on my canvas. Because I really don't want to add water. I bought thick body paints and I want to use thick body paints. So why am I trying to add water to this stuff? And you know, I did dry my painting, but it was dry, but it wasn't as hard as it can be. It really, honestly, before I varnish my paintings, which is put a seal at the end, I prefer, where was I? What was the last line I did? This one, right? Okay, that one, it was this one. So I prefer to let my paintings dry for a full 24 hours before I varnish. And that's the thing with working with the chalk, is because I just painted it and yeah, it's dry, but it's still kind of tacky a little bit. And if I use the chalk, what's going to happen is that coloration is going to get into my paint. Because my canvas isn't that, yeah, it's basically the pen. I feel when I use the pencil, I'm putting less marks on my canvas. Really, that's it. That's what I was trying to say. It's less marks. The less, the better. The less I'm messing up my background. And honestly, these little things, like everybody has a little way of doing what they do and they have their uniqueness. And honestly, it's just what you do. You practice, you work at it, you see what you like, you see what you don't. Everybody's got some different ways of going about doing it. When I was in the university, I don't think any of my professors really agreed too much with each other. Everybody had their own little unique perspective on how they saw the world and how they had ideas on things that needed to be done. And I listened, I paid attention, and then I just practiced and I used what works for me. Like, okay, oils. Oils are good. I like oils. But in the end of the day, I always end up gravitating towards acrylics. I like how they're much faster at drawing. Of course, now when I'm doing people, like if I get like a commissioned painting, if I get a commissioned piece and it's like a family portrait or something, then well, yeah, I'm going to use oils for that, because I'm going to spend like 3 weeks blending and really just making it as good as I can possibly get it and try to get some realism into there. But on purpose, this painting right here is Impressionism. That is what I am going for. I don't want this to look like a photograph. I feel like if this painting comes out looking like a photograph, like it's an actual bike, I feel like I'm going to be failing here at this art, at this painting, because that's not what I want. Impressionism is more about the idea of what does it feel like that you think that it would look like versus what it actually really looks like. That would be the difference between photographing a rose in its element or going and searching and finding the beautifulest rose in the field and then pruning it and making it look nice and its little background nice. No! Roses are very imperfect little things. They've got blemishes, they got stuff, they got things going on. Let's make it a little bit bigger. See what I said? It's always easier to make it bigger than it is to continue to make it smaller. I feel like I need to stand up and walk across the room. Sometimes it's good to see your painting from a distance. You see little flaws and things you want to fix. Okay, right here. Okay, I'm gonna let this be what it is for like right now. Kind of wipe off some of that paint. I'm just gonna let it be. I'm gonna revisit it. I just don't want to revisit it right now. I'm gonna go ahead and erase some of these lines where it is. I'm gonna move it up a little bit more. Because if I move it up, what's gonna happen is I can put more flowers in my basket. I'm gonna go ahead and make them a little bit more. Ugh. You know what? I just realized we don't have any pretty sounds of stuff going on here. Oh, but it won't let me. I'm over here trying to do the music. It's only let me do one thing at a time. I'm going to do two here. I'm going to do two little handles. I'm going to do one up high and then one a little bit lower. Now notice I just made the marks so I can see where they go. The further one should be a tiny bit skinnier than the one that is closer to you to give some perspective. That works. Letter B. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and while I have this black on my brush, I'm going to go ahead and make a little bit of gray. Take some black, go into my white, mixy, mixy, mix, till I get a nice little gray that I like. Okay, this guy's gonna have a little skinny one and it's gonna come down, and then this guy's gonna have a little skinny one. It's gonna come down. They're gonna meet each other and then they're gonna come bloop, bloop. Basic idea. There we go. I like it. It's working. Okay, so I'm going to make these come down a little bit more. How about that? So I'm going to take my brush, wash it in some water, try to get as much of the gray as I can out of it. Your water should be a gray color right now. Gonna wipe it and drag it across my paper towel to get the moisture out. I paid for thick body paint, so I want to use my thick body paint, so I'm not going to add any water to my paint. Thick body paints tend to be the more expensive of the paints compared to a loose. I mean, unless you're doing like a fluid, which could be expensive now. Everybody's doing fluid paintings. That's like a thing. I really didn't see that one coming. Did everybody really be into that? But they are. But like total super 80s coming back. Styles come back. You know what? I really feel as though this needs to be a low rider bike. Like gangster. I'm like feeling it. I'm feeling the gangster vibes. Works for now. We'll let it be. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started on this basket. So I'm going to use a square brush and I'm going to get some different browns. I'm going to get a dark brown and I'm going to get a light brown. I'm going to switch to this brush over here. Let's see where I can, right there. Nope, that's my medium. Didn't even look when I picked it up. Alrighty then, a little bit of brown there. And just so I'm ready with it, a little bit of light brown. And I'm going to make this basket a wicker basket. Now, my paintbrush is dry, all the way completely dry. I'm going to go into my black, and I'm going to start doing vertical and horizontal every other one. Vertical, horizontal, vertical, and horizontal, vertical, horizontal. Didn't like that, retouch it up. Now notice how I'm getting brush strokes. I really want to have those brush strokes in my painting. Now, I'm going to alternate the pattern. I'm going to continue with the pattern, but that one went horizontal. So because that one went horizontal, I'm going to go vertical. Vertical. Trying to cover up the gray. This one kind of has to go vertical where I'm at. Ooh. I'm gonna make two verticals there. Then I'm gonna go vertical, horizontal. I don't want my bottom to blend in with my second row to blend in with my bottom row. So I'm gonna try to keep them to be somewhat the same size as I go across, so they're alternating. You can really see them patterns forming. And they're just building on each other. I was going to do the lighter brown, but you know what? I think I'm sticking with this dark brown. I like what it's doing. I decided to change my mind. At any point when you're doing your art and you want to change your mind, do it. It's okay. I won't tell anyone if you won't. And it's not like it's a bad secret anyways. This got all mixed up with my little squares here. What I did. There we go. Maybe that'll work itself out. Make sure that I'm all lined up here on the canvas. How about we do that up and then we'll put this sideways. I'm going to go ahead and put some pretty bird noises in the background. Wouldn't that be nice to listen to some birdies right now? like that. It's working. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and wash my brush, take all the paint off. Oops. Oh, the music. People keep trying to text me and I'm like, busy, I'm doing stuff. I don't want to be bothered. Okay, so I need to let the paint dry before I start adding the basket and stuff, before I start adding flowers, so that way it needs dried. For the most part, I'm kind of sort of done. I got flowers. We could do a bee, which would be totally adorably cute. Want to do a bee? I feel like it needs a bee. But where? Where should we put the bee? Has this dried? Yep. Not quite dry yet. I'm going to take a quick second and I'm going to go ahead with the dryer just to get it done. So if I do have boo-boos, that way I can erase easily. be about good. I see a few little shiny spots on the piece, but not a whole lot of them. So if I do have some boo-boos, it will be easy for me to erase them. Okay, so let's get started with the flowers. I'm going to do some green leaves first. So I'm going to go ahead and put some dark green on my palette. I think I might put it a little next to my my turquoise there. I'm going to take my middle square brush, wash it out really super good, get all the paint off of it. My middle square, the one that I was using for the wicker basket. Make sure I get all that brown off, dry it and wipe it across the paper towel. I'm going to dip my paint into the brush just a little bit. And I'm going to kind of look and see where is it that I could add some leaves. Now I don't want to cover up all of the wicker basket, but I do want to cover up some of it. I'm going to start going up first. We're going to have a leaf there and a swoosh. See how I made a swoosh? 2 swooshes, 2 commas. And a swoosh and a swoosh. Like that swoosh. A swoosh and a swoosh. Oops, don't like that swoosh. There we go, I like that one better. Let's see, where else can we do? We could do one right here. Each and every little leaf wants to have its own little personality. Some want to be small, some want to be big. I'm liking this. It's cute. Really cute. And add some extra little layers here to cover up the area of the wicker baskets. That works. I like it. It's cute. Yep. I think I'm going to leave it at that. Okay. So I'm going to let it dry completely. I'm going to go ahead and use a hairdryer. cord is really far to the wall over here, so I kind of have to move the painting because that's as far as I can move the hairdryer away from the outlet. Should be good. Okay, so I'm going to go in with some bright green and it's going to be totally cute. Add some liner up for the camera. Okay, there we go. Put some, just a little bit. I don't need a lot. I'm going to go in with my liner brush. There's some paint. I got my 3 greens. And I'm going to find where I don't like my stems. And I'm going to go, oops. I'm kind of liking that. That works. I'm going to go up the middle. On the side. Yeah, that works. I like it. It's cute. Sometimes you can overwork these. Gotta tell myself, stop! Doing too much. Doing too much. No, that works. Okay. So, like that. Gonna let that sit for a little bit. Wash my brush. Always make sure you keep washing your brushes. Keep them wet in the water when you're not using them. Let's see, what is something I can do? Because I don't want to be like here on the dryer the whole time. So let's add some highlights. Okay, I'm going to take my white paint and add it to my palette. I always like to add a little bit of paint at a time to my palette because I am working with acrylics and it dries really fast. So I kind of just take them out as I need them. Notice how I'm not really mixing a whole lot. It's not really my style. I mean, it can be. It depends. Depends what I'm doing. This particular painting, I don't feel like I want to be doing that. Okay, so that little brush that I was using, the tiny little round one, I'm going to wash all that green out of it, wipe it on the paper towel, get all the moisture out. I'm going to go in with some... I think I'm just going to go in with some white. I was going to mix it with some turquoise, but I'm feeling white. Go down here, and I'm going to dry brush. Total dry brush. That means my brush is really dry. There's not a whole lot of paint on it. Notice how this is giving it an effect that the light is bouncing off of the metal. I think that's all I'm going to add for right now at this moment, the little highlights. You know what? I should add a little bit here. Yep. Let's go ahead and make a little cute little bumblebee while we're waiting for everything to dry. So now I'm going to get out some yellow. Add a tiny bit of yellow onto my palette. And then I'm going to use my tiny little brush that I was just using. Clean it off really good. Okay, so bumblebees are very simple, very basic, very easy. They're striped little things. So I'm going to say this bumblebee's trying to get to the flowers. I'm going to find where I don't like my painting, there's not a lot going on, and I'm going to make it do. Little brush strokes. The more brush strokes you have, the better it's going to all turn out and be awesome. Going to be a rather large bee. Say it's a little girl's bite. Okay, that's good. I'm going to wash off my brush. I'm going to go back into some black. Before I forget, oh, you know what? I need to add more black onto my palette. Just a little. We're not going to need a whole lot. Before I forget, I'm going to use some black. And I'm going to put a little dot right here, right in the middle. I feel like I'm going to forget to do that later. And I don't want to forget to do that. So I'm going to take my black and I'm going to make the rest of the little bumblebee. So he's got a little tiny round head. And of course it's got a little body. And he's got a little butt. A little tiny butt. Little stinger. But he's not mad right now, so he just got some butt. We're going to give him some little tiny legs. And little back legs. We're going to give him an antenna, another little tiny one in the background, and of course he's going to need some wings. So let's make some wings. Okay, I'm going to let that dry and I'm going to revisit it. Make sure that I got some little marks going on for the body. There, that looks good, that works. I'm gonna make these guys just a little bit bigger. I feel like it needs to be a little bit longer. That works, I like it. I'm also going to go ahead and make the tire just a little bit wider. I'm using my little brush. You can use whatever brush you want. I just already happen to have the little brush in my hand. Sometimes if you stand up and you look at your painting from a distance, you can get a better judge on things of proportion. I like that. Works, makes sense. Alrighty then. Need the bee to dry before I can put another coat. But you know, I'm really liking the yellow. It's working. I just want to finish the wings there. I'm going to go ahead and give this painting a quick little dry. pretty dry. Okay, so now I think it's time to add some flowers. I'm going to make my flowers red and pink. These are going to be the easiest flowers you're ever going to make. You could call them roses. I just call them flowers because honestly, I don't know what they are. They just look cute to me and I like them. I feel like if you give a name to the flower when you're doing Impressionism, you're thinking too hard. You're working too hard. So I'm going to use my tiny little brush. Gonna wash out. I had some black in there, so I'm going to wash it all out. I'm going to go in there. Okay. So I like to start with dark colors first and work my way to lighter colors. I'm going to go in with some red in my brush. And let's see, where do I want a cute little flower? Right there. So I'm going to work it and work it. I have a basic idea of here. Put a bunch of red down and I'm going to be making lots of C's. Okay, that's cute. I'm not done yet though, but I'm going to figure out where else do I want a flower. I want one right here. And it's going to go over the leaf a little bit. Where else should we do another one? Right there. Red roses. I think that's cute. I'm going to let it dry for a second and I'll revisit it. While it's drying, let's go ahead and finish up that bumblebee. Okay, so I washed my brush really good to get all the red out. Now I'm going to go in with some yellow and I'm going to do those wings. The tips of the wings. I feel like I did too much. I'm going to go ahead and erase. Wash my brush really fast, take all the paint out, use a little water, and wipe the canvas. And see how it's pulling up the paint? Got to go really quick. Pulling up the paint and I keep wiping it off. Add just a little bit of water. And wipe it off. This is why I'm always all the time drying my paint, because when I have little boo-boos like this, I need to fix those wings, don't I? I'm not feeling the wings. It works. I'm going to go ahead and give this little bumblebee an eye. Wash my brush really good. Go with some white. And just make a little dip. And leave it at that. No more. Just a dip. And leave it. I'm going to go ahead with some white. Give me a little bit of a highlight right here. There we go. I like that. That works. Makes it a little more 3D. I don't feel like the roses are quite dry enough for me to be able to add the second coat, and I really want to do that. So just to speed it up, I'm going to go ahead and dry the roses really quick. I suggest that you do the same thing. So now I'm going to mix some red with some white and make a little bit of pink. When you add a lot of pink red to the white, you get a dark pink. When you add a little tiny bit of red to a lot of white, you get a lighter pink. I am going to go for a very light pink. Make sure that you mix it really well and you get a good color. And you got plenty of paint that you're going to need to work with. You know what? Let me put some birds and some pretty sounds on in the background right now. How about that? Some beautiful little sounds. Now, I'm going to try not to cover up a whole lot of the pretty parts of the red, just a little bit. Mostly where I've got some background color showing. I'm trying to make commas going all the way around, keeping the integrity of it going around. I'm going to go head back and I feel like I need to let it dry. Yeah, I'm going to dry it all over again. Between each and every layer of the paint, of the flower, I recommend drying it. That way it doesn't really bleed and you get a lot of crisp, sharp lines. my little tiny skinny brush, clean it. I'm going to take a little bit of that pink and try to make it a little bit lighter. So I'm going to add more white to that pink so I can lighten it up. So it's a super light pink. I don't want to do too much, just a little. That's good, I like it. That works. I'm going to give that a minute to dry. And while it dries, I'm going to go ahead and add some other flowers in here. I feel like the roses are kind of a little lonely. Okay, so what kind of flowers should we add? I'm thinking maybe some purple would look really cute with that yellow. So let's go ahead and I'm going to go get my purple. Going to add a tiny little bit to my canvas. I don't need a lot of this purple. And make sure I wash my little tiny brush really nice. And I'm going to go ahead and put some little dots. I need to turn this for a second while I do this. Alrighty, okay, so got some purple. Gonna make a little swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. I'm gonna start 1, 2, 3. So I'm swooshing to the inside, swoosh. And I'm alternating left, right, left, right, left, right. Left swoosh. So out and in. So it's behind the red roses, but it's in front of the leaves. I like to alternate left, right because I'm showing a lot of brush strokes with this and they seem to kind of disappear into each other. And I'm trying not to go back up. So once I'm working my way down, that's it. I'm working my way down. If you go back and retouch the tops, what's going to happen is it's going to get all muddy and you're not going to see those brush strokes anymore, and it's just going to get, the eye is going to have a hard time watching the lines, and it's just not, the make-believe kind of gets a little muddled. I'm going to put another flower here. It's going to put some purple, like it was in the background, but stuff covered it up. There. When doing art, it's always good to do threes. Painting in prime numbers is a really good idea. So I got 3 roses and then 3 of these purple things. If it don't look perfect, that's okay. Let it be. Let it be what it is. Let it be messy. Just out and pull it. That's all we're doing. Since I have a little bit of this, I always have a signature in my paintings that I put leaves like they are fluttering in the wind, because with the background we got a lot of movement. So I'm going to put one here and here and then like here. Like they kind of just were floating away. We were speeding away, and that's just what kind of happened, and the bee's kind of traveling with us. Okay, so that's good. Like that, I'm going to leave it. I feel like I need to add some yellow in the basket. I'm going to go ahead and dry everything. pretty dry. It's not all the way dry, but it's so for right now. I'm going to go ahead with my tiny brush, clean it off really well. And I'm going to fill in some of the red. So I went red, pink, lighter pink, and now I'm going back in with some more red. I'm going to kind of cake it on. I didn't like that color there. I'll wipe it off. That's cool, I can do that because the bottom part is really dry. I'm going to go back in with, wipe my brush off a little. I'm going to go back in with the pink and fix a boo-boo that I had right there. Yeah, I wasn't feeling it. Yep. There we go. I'm feeling like these roses are a tiny bit dotty. So I'm going to go ahead, wipe my brush, get all the water off. And I feel like they're getting too dotty. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go and wipe it around. I like that better. That works. I'll wash my brush off. Start in the middle. And work my way around. That's cute. I like it. It's working. Okay. Like that. See, because what happens is I got the colors underneath and they kind of shine through. I'm going to go, while it's still wet, I'm going to take some of my really light color and put some more little dashes in here. Little highlights. So I'm kind of defining some petals. The reason why this is working so well is because of what I did with the bases, because I got the base coats down. I like that. That works. Sometimes you gotta stop. You gotta know when to stop, and I feel like right there is where I would like to stop with this one. Now because I had some purple flowers going down, I would like to have some other petals, so I'm going to take some of the red, and I'm going to be like, they also fell down too. Little swooshes. Little swooshes. Yeah, I like it. It works. That's cute, I like it. 1, 2, 3. 3 groupings. Notice how I'm doing everything in threes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and dry it. I'm going to do my little flower there on the end, but I need everything to be as super dry as I can possibly get it. Otherwise, the yellow's going to mix in with the red over there. Drying my painting, I was looking at it to see, are there any things that I should fix that just doesn't look right? Well, I noticed that the water guard just doesn't really seem to fit with the rest of the painting. So I'm going to make it a little wider so that way it can cover the wheel just a little bit. And I feel like it's kind of coming out and around. So I'm hoping this might give us some depth. While I'm at it, I'm going to touch this up right here. Been meaning to do that one for a little bit here. I'm going to need to turn the canvas a little bit. You know what? I'm going to turn it upside down for you guys for a minute. Check this out. Sometimes it's good to do this to your canvas so you can see it in a different light and at a different angle. I recommend if you haven't turned your canvas and seen it upside down, go ahead and do that, because then you see where you could, like, there's some little flaws and some things, because you're seeing it at a different angle. Almost with fresh eyes, kind of. And seeing how can you make your painting a little bit better with the anatomy. For example, I'd like to open that up a little bit more. It's working, I like it. Yeah, it's a good one. I feel better now about this wheel. I feel like it's more in there. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and wash my brush. And let's go ahead and do this flower. Now there's many different kinds of flowers we can do here. We can make the flower behind or in front. Let's think about it for a quick second. What kind of flower? Really, we can just do some petals. We could do like a daisy, but then we cover up our pretty roses if we do a daisy. So how about we just do some squishy yellow things? I'm going to go ahead and get my really small little brush, wipe off all the color, clean it up really nice. Okay, now I'm going to go in with my yellow. And I'm just going to start adding some yellowy dots all over the place. So these are going to be like if it was a flower that is behind the roses. Now the reason why I pick yellow is because it's really striking up against the purple because they're contrasting colors. Make sure there's lots of little lines in there. Okay, where else? Could do like a little yellow, poppy yellow, like there's one right here. Where could we have a pop of yellow? Little flower right here trying to stick out. There could be one right here trying to stick out. That's working. I think I'm going to let these flowers come out a little bit into the wicker there. It's a little spilling out. This one could probably spill out a little bit too. One, two, three, four, five. I got 5. I feel like we need to have at least one little flower where it looks like it's kind of fallen out. We don't have to, but I don't know, I feel like I need a little flower like it's fallen out. I do have the bumblebee. Of course, grouping of yellow, grouping of yellow, grouping of yellow should be up here. And there you have it. One little flower. I was trying to keep 3 groups of petals here, but I just feel like this makes a triangle with the yellow. We want to think triangles. Triangles and prime numbers when you're trying to figure out what to put where. Now we can go and be very specific with these yellow flowers and add like little centers of them and stuff, but I feel like kind of less is more with this piece. This is a very minimalist piece. So less is more on this one. So now what I want you to do, we're towards the end of this painting. I want you to take a moment, walk away to the other side of the room, and I want you to look at your painting and stare at it. I want you to see if there's any little things that you think you should fix or you don't like the dimension. Turn it around, look at it upside down, walk across the room, take a look, and I feel like I'm going to add a little bit more now that I'm staring at it. That light color, remember earlier I said I'm not going to do the light color on the wicker basket? Now that I'm looking at it, I feel like a little highlights could be totally cool on the basket. So that's what I'm going to do. I go get my brush that I used to make the wicker baskets, which for me was my medium rectangle. I'm going to take all the moisture out of my brush and I'm going to dry brush, like super, super hardly touch it, dry brush. So don't add a lot of paint onto your brush. And I'm just going to go here and there wherever there's icky spots and fix the icky spot. I'm not going to do all of them, just where I feel like it just wasn't working for me. Places that I could touch up. Make sure you don't add too much paint onto your brush. You want to have those brush strokes. There is no rhyme to reason to what I'm doing. I'm just doing it. So like, I'm just letting it happen as it happens. I'm not really picking spots. It's just it's very super random. Super random spots. And I'm trying to pick ones that I didn't like, that I don't think are that pretty, because I can kind of cover them up a little. Working. I like that. I think that's good. Yeah. I don't want to be too much, you know, just a little bit, just enough to give an idea. There we go. Yeah, so I think I'm going to go ahead and call my painting done. I really like it. It's cute. Yeah. I don't see any more little touch-ups. I mean, I think sometimes it's like the less is more, you know? We always try to like overwork our paintings and make them extra. And sometimes you can really mess it up. And like, I did not paint any of my sides at all. I kept it very rustic on my sides. Now if you wanted to at the end, you could probably go over maybe with some black and touch it up, and as long as you make sure that you make a really straight line on it, you could give it a finished type of a look. But I feel like just leaving it like this, a little rough, I feel like it just kind of gives the painting an edge of it's unfinished a little bit. And I think that look is very country and barny and very just, yep, it is what it is. And I think it looks good. Well, thanks for painting with me today. I thoroughly enjoyed this. This was like totally awesome. Do you feel like you've gotten rid of your stress and your anxiety for the day? Because I know that I do. I feel very relaxed, and if you feel physically exhausted right now, that means you did a good job, because it's a lot of emotional like thinking and putting effort into it. So if you feel tired and worn out, you did a good job today. Could I possibly see your painting? If you would like to share it, I would love to see your painting. Please email it to me or send it to me on social media. I've got all the social media accounts. Just hashtag Motley Muse. That way I'll be able to see the post, because the social media will like tag me and I can see it and everything. And thank you so much for painting with me. I will see you next time.